There was a time when I thought playing in downtown Nashville as a musician was an unattainable dream to me. It was a fantasy. And that was about 2 or 3 years ago. And now today, that fantasy is not only a reality, it's actually my job. And for me, I think that shift is a good thing. When I first started playing in Nashville in 2023, I was pretty green. I hadn't played in years. I had never heard or played any of these country songs. I had very little contacts or connections. I had no experience playing in Nashville, and I had zero clue what the unwritten rules about playing on Lower Broadway were. I didn't even know how to get gigs, and on the rare occasions I did get them, I had no idea what to expect. It was terrifying. I think for the first year I was playing here, it was white knuckle the whole time. I was hanging on for dear life. And that first year was a grind. But that grind really helped me find my footing. And quite frankly, in those early days, I think Broadway was like a lifeline to me, both in terms of finances, in terms of music, even in terms of a social and community aspect. Because I hadn't played music for so long and I had all but given up on it, I needed a place to rebuild my career, to rebuild my identity, to rebuild my confidence. And Nashville's Lower Broadway scene gave me a place to do it. And that first year was a time of immense growth. It was really like a year of college. I learned so much. And then Broadway kind of shifted from a place of growth to something entirely different for me. At a certain point, I was playing every day. I was making decent money. I was meeting people. I was in the scene. And from that, I started getting some offers to play on the road. But when I saw those offers to play on the road, I started turning them down because the math simply didn't add up. I could actually make more money playing in town, sleeping in my own bed, than being crammed in a van and driving around the country. I also felt I could make better connections by staying in town and talking to Nashville musicians than stopping in towns and cities every night, maybe meeting one or two people and never following through with that because I was just on tour. I felt like I had these golden handcuffs, like I was making good money, but if I left town for more than a week or two, I was gonna lose out on my gigs. But my goal wasn't to play on Broadway. My goal was to play as much music as possible all over the world. And when I decided to make the full-time leap into music, it was March of 2023. A buddy of mine, Kevin Daniel, asked me to go out on the road with him. And I was conflicted because what he was offering in pay, while it was respectable, it wasn't what I was making on Broadway. I was scared of losing my steady income, of losing the momentum I was building in town, and I was afraid I was going to lose all my connections and people were going to forget about me. I was also starting to get stuck. I was clinging to Broadway and not going anywhere in terms of where I wanted to go. I simply was staying busy and earning money. And for some people, that's enough. And at this point in my life, it wasn't enough for me. I wanted something different. So I ultimately said yes to that tour. And I thought, well, if I'm not going to make money, I need to find a way to make this tour worth it for me. So I had the bright idea of starting a YouTube channel and documenting my tour. I had these illusions that I was going to go viral and become a YouTube star and have millions of followers by the end of the tour. In reality, I did a video every day for about a month and I think I got 20 followers. So my idea for YouTube success did not quite pan out initially, but I was really glad I did that tour and it kind of got me thinking about doing YouTube and thinking maybe I can start doing this more. And right around this time is when I slowly started changing my approach. I stopped chasing every shift and saying yes to everybody. I stopped worrying about money and started saying yes to gigs that more aligned with what I wanted musically and personally. I took a big reduction in pay, but I felt better. I felt more fulfilled. And I also started leaning harder into YouTube. And not just for promotion or to let people know that I could play, but really for a long-time promotion to give myself a voice and identity. and to just share my experience. And my goal was never to escape Broadway, but it was just to expand. And I want to be honest here. Broadway is hard. The hours are long. You very rarely, if ever, get breaks on those 4-hour shifts. And a lot of times, you're doing 2 to 3 shifts a day. It can be really physically taxing, mentally taxing, and even socially taxing. Sometimes the crowd isn't listening. Sometimes there's no one there. You're playing the same songs over and over again. It's impossible to stay 100% engaged for 4 hours for 2 to 3 times a day, every day of the week. At some point, you just get burnt. And if you've noticed, I'm not sharing quite as many Broadway gigs anymore because I'm not doing quite as many Broadway gigs anymore. And that's intentional. You see, for me, Broadway is a tool. It merely is a place I go to work, but that place doesn't own me. Some people need Broadway just for the money, and that is absolutely fine because I think that is legit work and you can support yourself by playing down there. Some people want it for the networking. Some just want a place to keep playing and hang out. I don't think Broadway is just one thing. I really think it depends on the individual and where that person is at and what they need at the moment. And finding other individuals that can align with you. Musically, personally, people you like playing with, people you get along with. And that can take time to figure out. Don't let the fear keep you chained to there. Broadway is always going to be there, I hope. And when I go play on the road now, I don't sweat it. I just let people know when I come back to town, and sometimes I'll pick up a few gigs during the week. But I'm also not really chasing gigs anymore because there are other things on my plate right now. Other things that require more time and attention, and that's where I'm at in this season of life. And I think that's a real important skill to have when you are a musician guiding your own career. You have to be able to look at things and reassess when something is serving you and when something has served its purpose. And also being okay and having the confidence to let that relationship change or to intentionally change it yourself. It took a long time to realize that I don't have to and I shouldn't stay in just one lane. That's not who I am. And I really had to get clear on what I wanted from Broadway at this point in my life. And I want to leave you with this. What keeps me motivated and what keeps me engaged when I'm playing on Broadway right now is not playing as many shifts. And when I do play a shift, I want to make it the best gig ever. I want every note to count. I want to make it like the Super Bowl. And I found other musicians that I really enjoy playing with that every time they play, they try to make it like an event. They try to play their best. There's no like, I just got to get through the song. And that's why after this video, I'm going to send you a link to a video of me playing the most standard of Broadway songs, Tennessee Whiskey. And it's a song that I think a lot of people just go through the motions on. And that's also one of the reasons why I love playing with Aaron Nichols. And that's who I'm going to show you this version of Tennessee Whiskey with. I think every time we play that song, we try to make it new in a certain way. We try to add a wrinkle or bring some musicianship to it. Yeah, we know it's a standard that everybody plays it, but what's the best way we can play it right now? I don't think you can ever go wrong by playing to your best ability. Doesn't matter if there's one person or 1,000 or 200,000 in the room. I kind of think excellence is a habit. And one thing I really value is every time I play, I want to try to play like it's the last time I'm sitting down on my instrument. And for me, that's a lot easier to do when I'm not playing 40 hours a week. If I'm just playing, 5 gigs per week, I feel like I can give a far more consistent effort and I can be a better version of myself as a musician and I don't get burnt out. But I'm also consciously trying to invest in areas outside of Broadway. And in order to do that, you have to take a step back. You have to break into new scenes. And you don't make money right away on those scenes. And when you do start making money, it's not the same money you made on Broadway. And I think the rest of the world out there has a much lower floor, but also a higher ceiling. Whereas Broadway, you can make some money there, and you can get really good at playing music. You can have some good times. But ultimately, for me, Broadway isn't writing a song, recording a song, putting it out on the radio. And I'm starting to think more about maybe I just want to be writing songs and less of these grinding shifts. But I just want to come in here and talk about just evolving as a musician in Nashville. And it's really interesting because I've talked with other musicians who have come up at the same time as me on Broadway, and a lot of us have some things to say. It was good at a time, and we're looking for something else now. Some people are absolutely in love and don't want to do anything else. Some people absolutely despise it and never want to play down there again. I mean, different strokes for different folks. For me, I like playing down there. I like the people down there, and it's a job. And sometimes that job can lead to other connections elsewhere. But for me, it's imperative that I make those connections on my own in other scenes, and I go out there on the road, even if the money doesn't pay quite as well right away. I'm more interested in kind of blazing my own path and figuring out who I am. And you could be totally different, and that's okay. And I just simply want to come in here and share that if you're burnt out on Broadway, it's okay to take a step back. The world isn't going to end. If you've had a bad gig, the world isn't going to end. There's a lot more to Nashville, but playing on Lower Broadway is one of the charms of this town, and it's a great place for musicians. And I'm really glad that I've done it. And I will continue to do it in some capacity, but things are changing and evolving, slowly but surely. So with that in mind, I encourage you to watch this video of me and Aaron Nichols and Lacey Rostiak and Clay Blue playing Tennessee Whiskey. We were playing at Eric Church's, I think it's the Neon Steeple. I hope you enjoy it, and I also hope that you're kind to yourself and kind to your neighbors. I'll see you on the next time.